Hey everybody. In my last notebook related video that I did, which was my analog for anxiety video, I received a few comments and questions regarding my 10-day sticky note. And today is September 10th, on Sunday, and I'm getting ready to map out my mid-September, the 11th through the 20th, and so I thought this would be a good time to turn the camera on and just go through kind of how I map that out. Before I do that though, I am going to take, while we're here, I'm going to take my field notes and turn to the current page that I'm on, because I do have a few things that I want to put down. I went over this in that other video as well. This is my, I call it like my analog catch-all. Just anything that needs put in here goes in here, and I process it when I am ready and able to do so. So I always note the month down here. Today is the 10th. And it is Sunday, and my esoteric nerdiness comes out, and I do the glyph for Sunday, which is the sun. So what I really need to, I don't need to do it next week, but it's something that needs to be on my radar, is I need to set up my Red Rover account. Red Rover is a system that my district is using for employees to submit their absences. It's new to us this year, and we have to set up our accounts, and we also have an app that we can use. I've downloaded the app, I just haven't logged in with my information and things, so I do need to set up Red Rover. I also need to pick up a beef box that I ordered from a local farm. I can actually only do that this week on one day, which is Saturday, next Saturday, the 16th. And so what I'm going to do is mark a C over here, because that needs to get on my calendar. And I just need to remember to put that on my calendar. And I'm actually going to activate that right now. I can do that once I get in here. So I'm activating that on the 10th. And then something else I can actually calendar, because I can really only do it on this same day when I pick up the beef box, is FedEx. Because there is no FedEx where I live. I have to travel a little bit to get there. FedEx, because I'm hoping they might be able to cut my A5 MD notebook down to A5 slim size, not quite standard size, but like Moleskine expanded size, that size. I really would like to see if they could do that for me, and so I'm going to also activate that now and get that on my calendar, because that is that is day specific, so it needs to get scheduled. Otherwise, it probably won't happen. So I think that's it, at least for now. I'll just leave this open in case there's anything else I need to write down. In case you didn't notice, this is a field notes. This is a county fair edition, and it's Washington, which is my state. So I'm gonna set that over here, because and this is always with this. I keep it, I tuck the elastic around this entire thing, and if I don't feel like getting my olive out, I will just get this out, and it's super portable, and I can take it anywhere, and it fits anywhere, and it's great. And so I'm gonna set that there. Okay. Firstly, we'll open up to September, which is the current month. I did update this a little bit last night, just because there were things in here that needed to get in that weren't, and so I just went ahead and did that. I noted that I had things to do on the 16th, that Saturday, and so that's going to be a shopping day / errand day. I have to go to the next town to do errands, because my town is rural and kind of far from everything. So I'm just going to note that this is going to be, make sure I've got my brown shopping day. And I will also add the individual things to my sticky note once I get there. So some things you see on my monthly, I mentioned before a few times, this is the Travelers Company dated monthly. This is the driver of my system. If I could only have one insert for any and all eternity, I would pick this one, and I can make it work. I need the month on 2 pages, month at a glance, big picture view. That's necessary for me to have. And so what I've done here a little bit is do some visual notations for some things that actually have already that's already occurred, but some things that haven't yet, and I just wanted to get them in here. So in previous months I have used strips of washi tape as visual cues, and it works really well, particularly if there's something going on over the course of several days. I can just throw a strip down and then make a little key, because overall usually it looks a little bit cleaner than having my chicken scratch and all of these boxes over and over again. If I just have that visual cue, I know there's something there that I need to look for. And so in this case, this past week we had planned power outages 2 nights in a row, and so from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and so I just wanted to make sure I put those there, so I remembered to have my phone charged and anything I needed ready to go before that time. So I did that. And then down here I have this navy blue washi, as you can see here, in 2 places. We have staff meetings in my building every other Tuesday. Sometimes they're in the morning, sometimes they're in the afternoon. It just depends on what's going on. I do happen to know that on the 12th, this upcoming Tuesday, it is at 7:15 in the morning. So that's going to be a very early morning for me. So I just wanted to make sure I got my staff meeting, and then I made a little key right there. It's just better. If it's something recurring a few times over the month, I just like having the visual a little bit more. It's just cleaner and easier to process for me. So that's for staff meetings. This gray, solid gray, we have early release Wednesdays for professional development every Wednesday. And so I just noted early release with the gray, and then I made that ER at 2:30 because early release is always at 2:30. And then once I know what the context of that meeting is, I will note that next to the tape. So on the 6th, we had our building early release. Sometimes we have district, sometimes we have grade level teams, sometimes we have vertical teams. It just depends on where we are in the schedule. So I'm not sure what this Wednesday is going to be yet. That will, when my principal sends out our agenda for the upcoming couple of weeks, I should know what that is. So that's just my visual cues for recurring time-specific events that happen, just so I remember that they're there. So with regards to the sticky note, the time frame that I'm going to be working in, if you're confused why 10 days, I kind of go over that in that other video, but essentially I discussed briefly why weekly planning never works for me, because that's not how I naturally conceptualize my time as far as monthly breakdown goes. Ever since I can remember, I've broken down my months into thirds: early month, mid-month, late month. I tend to be more aware of the number of the date than the day of the week. If I have that date kind of at the forefront, it just helps me process that information a little bit more, I guess, because the days of the week just come a little more intuitively to me, I guess. So, but for planning purposes, I really like the date itself to be at the forefront. And so that's why early month, mid-month, late month, and that will be reflected on the sticky note in just a minute. So the time frame I'm looking at here today is the 10th. It is Grandparents' Day. Happy Grandparents' Day to all the grandparents. The time frame I will be looking at is the 11th through the 20th, which is tomorrow, Monday, all through that week, and then through the next Wednesday. having this 10 days at a glance. At the end of the month, it varies. It could be 8, 9, 10, or 11 days, depending on the month and whether or not it is a leap year. But having that bit more of a far-reaching span of time for me is really useful, just because it helps me look ahead a little bit more. And it's just naturally how I conceptualize time, I suppose. And it's really, really handy for budgeting as well, particularly for people who get paid once a month, like I do. You get paid once a month and you can kind of divide your spending in thirds, or you could track it kind of in thirds, and that way it encompasses the entire month and it doesn't like overlap into the next month. And it can come in handy for various things. And if you are of a bit of an esoteric persuasion and you follow the decans, and you know what decans are, you know that decans are roughly that 10 degrees, 10 days. If you know, you know. And so it kind of works out that way as well. But anyway, back to the sticky note setup. So the 11th through the 20th, this is the span of time that I'm going to be focusing on. I will be pulling events from this chunk of time that's on my calendar onto my sticky note. So I have it at a glance. So if I need to know, as of now, as I'm currently aware, what are my time date specific obligations for this period of time, I can go to my sticky note and just automatically look. So here is an example of my current sticky note here for early September. Even though this was the first week of school, was in this chunk of time, there really isn't that much on here, which kind of surprised me. It was a little bit more chill than I had anticipated, and I was really, really grateful for that. But today is the 10th, and I'm gonna fill in. I always note my cycle on the first line, because I like to know where I am with that in relation to what I have going on. So if I'm wondering, why am I an absolute energetic mess today? I can kind of see maybe why that might be, as far as where I am here in relation to what I have going on. So I always note that up here, and as well as any moon phases that are relevant, because if you know, you know, as far as that affecting mood, behavior, energy, etc. I'm just going to turn to the back here and take off my sticky note. Ooh, I have one left. These are the MD grid stickies. These are not the same as these. So these are Traveler's Company. This is actually its own insert. It is 022. These are MD, and they actually match the paper in the Midori MD notebooks. And I really, really I like these as well. But I really, really like these particular ones. So what I'm going to do, since I'm not using this chunk of time right there, I won't be referencing that. I'm just going to stick my note right there and then move that up ever so slightly. Okay, what so I do for days, just to make sure I'm allocating myself enough space, I know I'm going until the 20th, and so I'm going to start with, wrong ink color, I'm going to start with the 20th and work my way back. Okay, and then I will do lines over each one. And then I'll note the abbreviated day of the week above the line. So up to my, oh, I did not, oh, see, I still mess this up every single time. Not every time, but so that'll just be, I do not need the 10th. I'm starting with the 11th. So the 11th is Monday, 12th is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday again, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so that's just kind of the basic setup, how I start with that. And I will note that this is mid-September. And I just note that there. And then I immediately make sure that my cycle is on there. And just to double check and be totally clear, yeah, day 11, so tomorrow will be day 12. So I will note that here just to get me started. Usually I start it there, but for some reason I moved it down. That's okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not precious about this, it's just purely a convenience thing. So what I'll do now is go through that period of time. So there's a new moon on the 14th, which is Thursday. So I'll just draw the little all the way colored in circle. And then I think that's it until, oh yeah, because the first quarter's on Mabon. That just worked out that way on the equinox. So the moon phase I'll be paying attention to there is the new moon. I'm typically a bit more energetic during the new moon. Full moons, I'm often a hot mess. That's just the way it is. It's how I respond. But new moons, I tend to have a bit more pep in my step, and so that, depending on, of course, how I feel when that time comes, but that could be an indicator to me that maybe I might be able to tackle some more stuff in my field notes. But we'll see what happens when that time comes. Okay, so I'm going to start pulling events. So Monday, actually, there's nothing happening Monday as far as things that are out of the ordinary or overly different. I don't have any personal appointments, and nothing at work deviates from my usual everyday schedule. So there's nothing happening Monday. As of now, when I get my agenda, something could very well get added, but as of what I could tell, there was nothing for Monday. 12th on Tuesday, staff meeting. And what I will do here is this is kind of bullet journal like, that's an event, so I do an open circle for that one, and then I will note that it is at 7:15. I can write that here because this line is purely reserved for this event. I don't have to worry about filling anything else in this line for anything else, so I can go ahead and write that. So that's it for Tuesday as far as I know for now. Wednesday the 13th, I have my book fair planning meeting. I can't spell. Book fair plan. And then that is a phone meeting, so I just need to be at my desk at 10 o'clock. So I can receive that phone call from my representative. And then I have the dark gray, which is early release, and I don't know what the context of that early release is yet, but I do. Not Tuesday, Wednesday, and then that will be at 2:30. If you mess up, and you move on. So that's that. September 14th, I have my first book study meeting for the book study that some of us are doing. And that is time specific, begins at 3:45. And what I'm going to do here is, I don't know why I wrote that so far, is make a note here that I need to have my folder and book with me. If there's a little subtask related to an event, I can note it under here, and sometimes I'll make it a specific task by putting a dot, but most of the time I just make a little note with an asterisk like that, just to make sure that I have my folder and my book for this particular day. So as far as work things go, it doesn't look like there's anything going on Friday. Fridays are usually open. There's usually not much going on Fridays, thank goodness. Fridays and Mondays are often kept relatively clear for the most part. So that's what it looks like is going on during that chunk. Saturday, I am doing a shopping day. Kind of missed the mark on that line there, so I'm gonna move this down. So that's my shopping and errands day on Saturday. And that technically is, it's not time specific because I can leave whenever I want, but it's place specific. I have to leave my house. So I will note that with an open task there. And then I can also note here that I need to do FedEx, which is what I put on my field notes, and also beef box pickup. And that has to be before 5. And FedEx has to be, I think, before 3. I think they close at 3 on Saturdays. So I'm just gonna note that there. So that's happening Saturday. Sunday, nothing. The following Monday, the 18th, nothing. The 19th, I have, we have student council. I do not have to be at the student council meeting, but I do have to remember to send my class rep. And she is super organized, way more so than I am, and she will remind me the day before. And bless her for that, because I need all the help I can get. So student council on the following Monday, and that is at 8:30. And then I'm gonna note here, send my rep. Those are her initials. So that is for that. And then that Tuesday the 19th. Oh, did I do that in the wrong? I did that in the wrong spot. I did that in the wrong spot. That's okay. Here's what we're gonna do. I've done this a lot. I'm gonna move this down one line and then note it here. There we go. So I know that got moved down there, and that was an oops. And then on that same day, I have BLT, which is I'm on my building's leadership team this year, and so we have our September meeting that day. So that is also Tuesday the 19th, and that is at 3:30. Tuesday's gonna be busy, so that will remind me maybe on Monday to just double check and make sure I have absolutely everything ready as much as I can the night before for the next day, and maybe even some days beyond that, just because I might be a bit on the sleepy side. And then we also have, so here I have early release on the 20th as well, but instead of making a new entry, what I will do is go back up to the ER notation that I made up here, and I will note that here. I'll do another open task there. And that way, when I'm scanning through Wednesday, that'll take me right down there, and I'll know, oh yeah, I have early release again. And I won't write the time because it's always at 2:30 and I already did it there. So that's a rough map of kind of mid-month as far as my time-specific obligations. As of now, I don't have any personal appointments, but what I also add onto this is my supplements that I take that are recommended by my medical practitioner, which is an iron complex. I struggle with anemia. I have for years. It's pretty under control right now, but every once in a while, my ferritin and my stores just plummet out of nowhere, and so I just have to keep an eye on that. And then B's, I just benefit from a B complex. I just do. And then, actually, I'm gonna write D on here as well. D3, because I haven't been doing very well with that. And in the climate I live in, we're all pretty much vitamin D deficient. And I am technically on a maintenance dose. I'm just not very good at taking it. And it's a high dose, so I tend to do it every other week. And I took it last night, so I won't take it tonight, but I will take it tomorrow. And then so my phone ran out of storage and I didn't realize it. I did get most everything in that first go though, so I was relieved. Essentially, all I did before it cut out was note my supplements, and just on the days I intend to take them, and then I will just check them off on that day. So as far as my sticky note goes, that's pretty much it. And then what I will do once I'm done kind of with that initial mapping out, I will just place it here on sort of my dashboard, just basically what I call my dashboard. So if I don't feel like getting, I spoke about in my Analog for Anxiety video, just that just how good it is to have options for if you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't feel like you want to get into your whole system all the time just to see what's going on. I can come here and just have an at-a-glance view on any given day. These are my time, date, specific obligations. This is what I have to attend to. I'm required to be at these particular places at these particular times on these particular dates, just so I can function kind of at a bare minimum. I can just kind of look. I have had the question before, do you keep a Google Calendar? And the answer to that is yes. I have a personal Google Calendar, and then I have 3 work-related Google Calendars, and they're all synced. So they show up all at once for me. So at a glance, I can run through my phone widget and just see all those events. But it's not a visual output like this is. And so I still need that analog setup just for, if nothing else, it helps me assimilate information. It's just, those of you who get it, you get it. I don't think I have to explain the benefits of writing things down and also just keeping kind of that visual record, because this is a whole year in this little insert here. And I actually cram an awful lot of my year into this booklet. And I've also been experimenting with adding pages, which has actually gone pretty well. When I set up my new insert, I'll go into that a little bit more, because I think I'm going to do that for the 2024 insert, just because there's like 10 blank pages in the back of this. What I really wish Traveler's Company would consider is making this insert a full-size 64-page insert like the others. This is not a full-size. This is a 48-page. It's smaller than the rest, and I really, really wish that gap could be filled by just blank pages, more blank pages in the back. That was one of the reasons why in 2020 I gravitated toward a Hobonichi day free, which I tried for 6 months, and it drove me absolutely bonkers. I liked the layout of the monthly spreads, the month on 2 pages plus all the notes in the back. I loved that, but I could not stand the Tomoe River paper, and I could not stand the tininess of the grid, and I just Hobonichi is just not for me. And I learned that very quickly, but I did stick with it for 6 months. So there is that. But I do wish that this insert would eventually include some extra blank pages. On the one hand, the slimmer size does allow for a really nice kind of form factor, but I do find myself needing or wanting, I suppose, I don't really need it, I suppose, but wanting more than 10 to 12 extra pages. And that's with me covering. I did cover pages. I modified this quite a bit. That is a spread those are pages that I covered. I leave the map because I do like the map. And then the departure card in the back, I covered that. I covered the measures and equivalents. I covered that. There's lots of things I covered just to give myself some more wiggle room as far as blank pages are concerned. That was a tangent. That was really totally unrelated to anything I'm doing now, but it's out there in the ether now, so who knows. I do wish this were a 64-page insert rather than 48. There, I said it. Okay, moving on. So while I'm here, I guess I'll just flip through. Oh, I can update this, I suppose. This is the travel plan year at a glance, and I use this for a big picture cycle tracking. So yesterday was the night. Okay, so 11. Yep, and then I did say. Yep. Okay, so that's updated. Yeah, but I love this insert. I really do. I've hacked it and made it really functional for me. One thing I did not do is this month is cover the calendar. I did not cover that. I covered it here and I ended up not really using it. And then I covered it for the first time in July here. And I did use it here, but essentially what I have here ended up on these sticky notes. And so I really didn't need that in the end. So if I find a month is particularly busy, I might cover the calendar just for added notes. Like November, December, I could see myself potentially doing that just because I typically have a lot going on at that time. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, for now, it's pretty chill. I still have space. I have all this blank space in these squares. A lot of people use these blank squares for decoration, but I'm like, man, that's empty space. I can make that functional. And I also have a space down here and I have a bit more space here. I do minimal decoration by just giving each month a sticker. I have all of these washi sets with circles and then corresponding strips, like wide strips and narrow strips. I didn't do a circle there, but I just give each month a visual and I leave it at that, really. And this is functional over decorative. There's nothing wrong with decorative planning. To me, I'm visually distracted very easily, and I just find that to be a bit too much for me as far as making this functional. So this is just kind of the right amount of stuff. So this will all get more filled in as I get my agendas for the next upcoming weeks, and then I will do another I'll keep adding to the sticky note I just made because other things will inevitably come up. And then when I get to the 20th, which is the end of mid-month, 21st starts end of the month, I will be making a new sticky note for end of the month. So yeah, essentially that's how and why I do that. These empty sticky notes are not the stickiest. And granted, this isn't the best surface either. I might put some double-sided tape down there just to help them stick a little bit better. And I don't really need to keep these either. Like, these really aren't wanting to stick at all. But it is kind of a handy reference. I'm going to keep these through the end of the year just to see how convenient I find them as far as referencing them. So I will hang on to them for now. But yeah, so that's that. I don't know really what else I can say. Oh, I can go back in here. I could have just written those immediately on the calendar instead of writing it in here and then writing it on the calendar. But if I do that enough, I eventually lose my place as far as where I'm at. And then, it's all downhill from there. So I just write it down. It's just a flow of consciousness here, and then I deal with it. For me, that just works easier, and I don't mind writing things more than one time. I actually find that for me personally to be beneficial. So I just do the thing, and so yeah, I completed that. That's on the agenda, the sticky note, and the shopping day on my big calendar, and so I finished that on the 10th. So I went a little bit more into how I do this in the previous video, the analog for anxiety. I went into my field notes a little bit more than I did this time. So yeah, that's that. I think. And then when I'm done, this is an olive, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. I will be moving out of the olive when the equinox comes. I'll be moving back into my brown, but this olive has gotten really shiny compared to how it was. It's really worn in nicely over the last 6 months of me handling it every day and throwing it on tables and on my desk and in my bag and on the couch and on my bed and like pretty much everywhere. and that's the beauty of these covers. They just get better. Even when you handle them roughly, they just get better with age. So that's it, I think. I hope that answers some questions. I can set up another one of these at another time if I remember to actually come on and turn the camera on. while I actually do it. I will be filming moving back into my brown when that time comes. I did a move into this in the spring, and it was fun, and I got a lot of positive responses on that video, and I think I'll do another one again for when I move back into my brown. So yeah, that's that. I'm really done now. Okay. Until my next video, take care and be well.